Hey everyone, this is Tanner. Quick update before you watch the video. This video is rough. I mean really rough. This is our first time doing the podcast live on stream with everybody's video, so not everything is synced up correctly. I know some of the mouths aren't moving great and some of the video cuts out every so often, but bear with us. Over time this is going to get a lot better. We just had to kind of spring into action this week and cobble this together in order to get something started for YouTube. So again, bear with us. We're doing our best to make this better. But until then, hope you enjoy the show. Thanks.
Well, hello everyone out there in podcast land. It's an exciting edition of this Six Dorans podcast, as we are having a different format to what we're doing now. I am your host, Jacob Sminted Sanders. I'm not sure where you can see me on the video. Yeah, I think I'm on the top is where I saw. And right below me is Jamie Celsius Christensen.
Hello, hello.
And then I can't go under. is Tanner Blitzarama Brelji.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Alright, so we got more playoffs coming out for you guys. But before that, we got an announcement we'd like to make. It's not one that I had intended in making for another couple weeks, but timelines were wrong. We are officially doing our video thing like we had promised months and months ago, about a year ago. Wayne and I had said we were going to do this, and then we didn't. But we're keeping up on that promise now, and we're going to start putting it to YouTube like we had wanted to originally. So you guys can see our faces, our reactions, and also if you want to respond to that.
You can see me shake my head at Sanders.
Oh my god, yeah. That'll happen too. You can see my ridiculous reactions. I have a lot of facial expressions, and I recognize that. So you will be able to find that at youtube.com/6dorans. This episode will be uploaded to that spot. If you're listening to this as the podcast form of that right now, this more than likely is going to be the last edition of that. I might do it for one more month, simply to keep reminding you guys that the switch is happening. That'd probably be a good idea on my part to do. That I might do that. So, anyway, yeah, we're switching to YouTube. Yay! But this is our first experimental video, so.
Hopefully it all goes well.
It looks like it's going well so far. I did the introductions, right? I wasn't rude and skipped you two. I mean, they could see you're there. I'm gonna have to get used to not pointing at the screen.
Is that what you would normally do?
I mean, I feel like, okay, so if I'm pointing like this way right now, to me it looks like I'm pointing at Tanner, but the way Tanner has it formatted, it looks like I'm pointing at nothing. But if I do this, it looks like I'm pointing at nothing on my screen, but I'm really pointing at you, Celsius, so.
Right, and I'm pointing at Blitz.
Yeah, exactly.
We're Brady bunching it up.
Hell yeah, we are. Alright, so you came here for, your camera, okay, anyway. You came here as the listener, or viewer, I guess now, that's kind of cool to say, for the LCS and the LEC. So we should get right to that. Then, as usual, we're going to start across the pond. And I need to get used to looking at you guys, not them.
Like just randomly around your room?
Well, no, I was actually looking at either, like, stuff across the screen, not necessarily where I should be looking. So
it's going to be something we all get used to.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, before, when it was just in air, I would actually be like this. And I'd kind of just be talking like this, staring off into space sometimes when I was talking. Or pondering something. Yeah.
That's right. It's going to be really hard to watch the Nuggets games that are on every time we podcast.
I mean, you'll be able to watch them. You'll be fine. Anyway, so like I said, let's go across the pond and look at what happened last week and what's going to be happening this week. So, we had our playoffs. The first one was Friday. It was Fnatic versus Vitality. I'm just going to drop the bomb. Fnatic got 3-0'd. It was not pretty for Vitality. I questioned why.
I thought you were April Foolsing right there because you said Fnatic got 3-0'd.
Yeah, I thought I was.
Wait, what? Oh, shit.
I thought you were April Foolsing, and so I was just going to play along with it, but...
Yeah.
I'm stupid. It's fine. No, Fnatic 3-0. There we go. It's Fnatic 3-0. So Fnatic 3, Vitality. Anyway.
Nada.
Yeah, so Fnatic, I questioned why they picked Vitality, and now I know why. Because they had their number. It wasn't even close. Like, I kind of wanted to talk about all the games. These aren't worth talking about, in my opinion. It's straight up Vitality, oh, they blew up Vitality. Game 2, oh, they blew up Vitality. Game 3, oh, they blew up Vitality.
Game 1, Game 2, Broxa played Karthus. All three
Press
games,
hard.
Vitality tried to play top lane focused, and Vitality, like, Bwipo did let a few kills go here and there, but while that was happening everywhere else on the map, Fnatic just crushed their opponent, and Bwipo, for as much as he did let go, he did also outplay and stay safe just as much, so a lot of times Vitality's attention was in vain. And yeah, all of the games were stomps.
Yeah, just some quick stats on that too. So the kills in every single game were at least 10 plus in favor of Fnatic. The gold lead was at least 10k plus in favor of Fnatic. And then the towers per game, we have 11-3, 11-2, and 10-3. So it was a stomp by all means of the word. It was horrible, and it wasn't good league really to watch either. Honestly, it wasn't like one of those things where obviously every game was close. You could see that from the stats, but I mean, it just did not look like. I mean, we could kind of think about this like we kind of knew. I mean, I'm not gonna say knew, but we kind of had a feeling that this was going to happen to Vitality towards the end of the season. They didn't look as sharp as they had been maybe in the earlier parts of the season, and it showed because Fnatic, who just looks like they're an unkillable machine right now, ever since week 5, week 6, they just rolled right through them. I mean, I'm not going to say I didn't call it
because you did. You called it 100%.
You got it.
But
yeah,
no,
you got it.
Like, but it was so. I mean, even I didn't expect it to be that much of a stomp. It's a bummer because the young plucky vitality that we remember from like Worlds this year, that team just doesn't feel like it's there anymore.
So I got a question for you. This is mostly the same roster that's been together now for 3 splits. Do you give it a chance again in the summer, or do you finally tell yourself, we know what this team is? It's 4th or 5th at best. Do we need to make a change?
Give it a chance in summer.
You want to give it a chance in the summer? You want to give it a full second year?
Like when it comes to next year, maybe. But
it's actually a really easy answer for me to say give it a chance again in the summer, because if you remember correctly, they kind of fell off, and didn't they get 4th place in spring of last year?
No, spring of last year was when they kind of fell off in the playoffs, yeah. And they got 4th.
Yeah, so like this is kind of just another example of that story. They won big games kind of when it mattered most. So around Worlds, not around MSI. And they played well enough to get 3rd place in summer and 3rd place overall, make it to Worlds. And then we saw what they could do at Worlds. So this is the type of team that I think can play well on the biggest stage. Unfortunately, they kind of fall off in their regional playoffs, and I don't know if the jungle switch was worth it. Like, I don't know if it was the answer to their problems.
For sure, I can see that.
That, and on top of that, Attila, like I've said it multiple weeks now, but Attila and Jack Pearl in the bot lane, I feel like they are a shell of themselves from last year, and that is a big problem for them if going forward. So give it one more shot, but if they, if summer ends the same way that spring did, then I think you have to make some changes, and I guess the 3 roles that I mentioned are the ones that I would start with.
All right, that sounds fair. So not to totally shit on Vitality. I would like to give props to Fnatic for recognizing what their opponent was and how essentially they chose an easy route to the semifinals, right? Or semifinals. EU's fucking new ass playoff format.
I'm actually so excited about it.
Which is actually kind of cool now that I'm seeing it, go through. I think Fnatic actually looks like our best team in EU. I actually won't be surprised if Fnatic Origin could be our final, but we'll get to that. I think that's all I have to say on this one. Can we get to the next one, which was way better?
Only thing to add is if you want to see solo queue Kale be played, watch.
Oh my god! Thank you for making me remember what I was gonna say. So every player has a come out party. Every player's got a come out party at some point, right? If they're worth mentioning. Even bad rookies who don't do anything after they have a come out moment. I'm trying to think of. He was a redhead for Roccat. Redhead AD carry for Roccat. I can't remember his name. He was a star for a split, and then he did nothing the rest of his entire
the fact that we can't think of who it is.
But once you hear his name, it's so recognizable.
You keep going. I'll try to see if I can find it.
Okay. Anyway, Nemesis had a great coming out series. What blew me away was actually the Kale play, where he should have died twice, and he got 2 kills before he died, and I'm like, what a god. I don't care that he's playing Kale. What a god. He did it at level 14, when Kale's not even broken yet, so what a god. Nemesis actually carried Fnatic on his shoulders at points. Not that it was needed, because everyone was doing well, but Nemesis was, I would call, the primary top dog here. And that makes me confident in Fnatic to where if they won MSI, I'd be like, alright, they could make some noise. I wouldn't be concerned for them. Because I finally saw Nemesis carry a series. Now, it was against Vitality, sure, but he beat out Jizuke, who's considered a top EU mid laner. So I think that's cool. I think as long as Broxa gives support to Nemesis, if they were to go to MSI, Nemesis would probably be fine. He could also have some serious growing pains.
Well, that's the thing, too.
He's still a rookie.
The reason why Fnatic has gone, 11 of their last 12 is because they finally remembered what made them successful, and that was playing around mid lane. And Nemesis has shown in the last half of the split, and again here in the first series of the playoffs, that he is more than capable of fulfilling the role that Fnatic needs him to fill. He may not quite be the level of Caps, but I don't think that you have to be when you're surrounded by that much talent.
Yeah. When your top laners below your AD carries Reckless, you got Hylissang and Broxa, you're probably fine. So Fnatic moves on, and they will go on to continue to play the winner of our next series, which was SK versus Splice. And this was a 3-1 series. Splice took this series, and, it was closer than 3-1 says. Would you guys agree to that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think each of the games were really hard fought. I'm just looking at it again over here. All of these games were very close, down to the wire matches. I think the only time that I kind of started wavering a little bit was during Game 4. And I'm not sure if we want to get into self-made and Game 4 right away. But it was rough because I think maybe he had a bit of postseason jitters, or maybe the opposite. Maybe he was a little too bold. In case you didn't watch this, Self-Made ended up playing Rek'Sai, and I think it was Game 4.
It was game
And
4, if I know what you're talking about.
started building 2, if not completing. I'm not sure. I can't remember if he actually
He
completed
completed it.
Yeah, he completed it then. And Infinity Edge on Rek'Sai, which was interesting.
It was a Chad build. You give him some damn respect for trying that.
I mean, yeah, he got a lot of damage. That's true. But then he also took a lot of damage, and it almost seems like he became a non-factor as soon as that was his second item locked in. So that was probably. Like,
I agree with you. That was they made a very big deal about it on the desk. The analysts were talking about it like nonstop for quite a while, but it was all like they had good reason to talk about it. And watching him the rest of the game after he built that item not be able to tank damage because he had no tank stats. Diving in to not get the kills that he should have. Like, the reason why he was building that item is so that he could pop somebody. And there was a play where he was hiding in a bush. I believe it was Kobe walked up to the bush alone. Nobody was around him. And Rek'Sai got her entire combo off. Didn't crit one time. That was after the IU was built. It didn't crit one time. Kobe lived with a sliver of health, and Rek'Sai, I believe, ended up dying because he couldn't get out before the rest of Splice collapsed on him. So, yeah, it was not good, but also it reminded me of. There was a game this split, I believe, where it was Rush. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Rush just kept making like bonehead initiations, and it was before he got benched for a little while. If you guys remember the game I'm talking about, but
yeah,
like this game, Selfmade really reminded me of Rush in that game because he kept just jumping in when there was no chance of it working out, and I think he spent more time on gray screen than he did in the actual game. So it was really bad.
Yeah, it kind of was. So, overall, I kind of want to talk about like Splice for a second. I feel like Splice kind of just had SK's number for most of it, right? Like, every single like fight that like SK had a shot at, it seemed like they screwed up. Or it felt like they screwed up at some point. And then Spice would just come back and win the game. Now, Vizichachi actually had himself a decent series as well. I think a huge part of their win wasn't just Kobe. It was Vizichachi. Now, Kobe had, in Game 4, had some incredible Vayne plays, and without them, I think they lose Game 4 and go to Game 5. That's but, like, some of those Vayne plays, I was like, damn, Kobe is amazing, and I want to see more of him. But Vizichachi was a huge part of that. He had some clutch ults on the Vayne. He had some very clutch taunts. He was playing Shen, by the way. I should say that. I think if Vizichachi can continue to play this way, Splice could I don't think they could potentially upset Fnatic. They could give Fnatic a run for their money, I should say. Because I was like, oh, they could potentially beat Origin or G2, but I'm like, oh, wait, they're playing Fnatic, so... Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
They got to make it through Fnatic first.
Yeah, live through Fnatic is what I would say.
I'm not too sure. I mean, again, like you said, they looked really good. Just quickly, since I have access to them, might as well. Kobe in that last game, 10-2 on the Vayne.
Yeah.
Chachi ended up 6-1 with 11 assists. So, I mean, it seems like this team is really starting to pull their weight individually. But yeah, like you said, we'll get into it when we do predictions. But is it enough to beat, the menace that is Fnatic?
I think it's unlucky that the next opponent has to be Fnatic.
Yeah. Somebody's got to play him.
So the thing that I kind of find interesting and also proves our point on how good of a series both Kobe and Vizichachi had, but more so Vizichachi is, you guys mentioned the last game. I actually wrote notes about him impressing me in game 2. So the fact that we're going to highlight different games around these same players just says to me how well both of these players have been doing, or at least did in this series. And I actually thought SK looked like they had game 2 in the bag too. And part of me says that because they ended up throwing and losing that game was also plays into why they lost the series and lost the next 2 games. But Vizichachi in game 2 played Kinnan, and although I thought SK had the game in control, they didn't close it out early enough, which Splice, as we know, has a very good late game, a memeable late game, and they got to late game with Kobe on Zaya, and Vizichachi had just some really, really good flanks on Kinnan that every team fight past 25 minutes, I think, went in Splice's favor, and most of the time it was because Vizichachi had a really good ultimate into 3 or 4 of SK grouped up in the mid lane or in the jungle, and Splice had a really good team fighting comp on top of that, so they were able to then add on to Vizichachi's damage and stunning ability. So that game to me was kind of the turning point, and I thought that those 2 players had a really good performance in that game.
Yeah, no, I mean, like you said, 10-2 for Kobe, Vizichachi 5-3, 9 assists. You're right. They were just absolutely stellar this entire series, and I think, like you said earlier, where it felt like SK could have won this game easily. I remember thinking to myself personally a lot of times during this entire series that, oh man, this is such a good fight for SK. Here it is. Gonna shut it down. Wait, what's happening? Why is it not? Oh, it's Kobe. Oh, it's all these guys who are keeping themselves alive.
There's Vizichachi behind everybody.
Yeah. Right. They're either just surviving, keeping the game running, and making the stellar plays they need to be. And it was impressive because at the end of the day, that's what ended up winning them a lot of the games.
Yeah. So Sanders, real fast before we move on, I found potentially who you were talking about. I have 5 options about the redhead 80 carry.
Oh, okay.
From Rocket. Woolite?
Woolite. That's it. We're done. That's it.
Okay, perfect.
Cool. I told you as soon as I said, yeah, Woolite. He was Rookie of the Year. He was amazing 80 carry. He was so hype. Yankos was on the team at the time. I forget who else was. I think it was Vander. Vander was his support at the time. Remember, all these all-star players in Rocket looked so good, and then they were trash. Absolute dumpster. Woolite never.
Was that the year that they went the furthest? Didn't they play in finals or something?
No, they still didn't make playoffs. They were garbage.
Oh. They were so good they didn't make play.
Well, no. The first year they made playoffs, they got to 6th place, right, and they got to quarterfinals, his rookie split, right, when he got. But then after that, everyone was all right, they got to 6th place. They actually put on a hard fought one. I think it was against. I think it was Alliance. Was who they played at the time, but Alliance went on to win.
That's an old.
Yeah, it was super old. It was super old. I think it was Alliance though, and Alliance won, and then rest is history.
The Froggen Project.
The Froggen, yeah, Froggen and Reckless came. That's what happened. Anyway, if my history's a little wrong, I'm sorry, but I think that's who it was. Anyways. Woolite proceeded to never, ever do well again. So, Like I said, every rookie's got an I'm here time. And its nemesis is right now, except he's actually in playoffs and relevant. Speaking of playoffs and relevant, let's get to the voting on the schedule for this one. So, I lied. No, I didn't lie. Let's predict the first series.
Alright, which one's the first series?
First series is on Friday at 10 a.m. It's Fnatic versus Splice. As usual, I go first. You know, Splice looked pretty cool. I liked how they looked. It was nice. Fnatic destroyed Vitality, though. And Fnatic's been on a rampage for I don't know how long now. So I gotta go with Fnatic. And I'm gonna go 3-1 again. Mostly because I think Splice can take a game. A game. Just a game. That's it. Fnatic's got the rest.
Well, my picks have been so good in the playoffs so far. I didn't get a single one of the game scores, while you guys each at least got one. So yeah, Sanders, we'll get there. For those only listening, he put up 2 fingers. I'm also picking Fnatic. I feel like it is would be foolish to pick against Fnatic right now. Like you said earlier, and I agree that Fnatic may be our split champions with the way that they've been playing. So, yeah, definitely picking them. And I'm going to go bold again, and I'm going to say that they actually just continue their stomps, and it's a 3-0.
I don't think the 3-0 is out of the question.
That's actually exactly what I was thinking. I'm going to pick Fnatic 3-0 as well, but I mean, I feel like it's going to be one of the, as close as a 3-0 can be, but, I think...
So, like the Cloud9 Team Liquid 3-0 of spring, not summer. Summer was a stomp. Spring.
Like, every game's going to be close, and Splice is going to make them work for it, but I just don't see a lot of scenarios where Fnatic end up losing any of the games. So, I'm definitely going to pick Fnatic 3-0.
All right.
I'll go out on a limb and I'll say that I think that only one of the games is going to be close.
Oh, he's really on that Fnatic train.
Vizichachi, as well as he played this last game, I think Bwipo has a big enough champion pool that he will be able to counter pick and do well enough against Vizichachi that Vizichachi isn't going to look like he did in the SK series. I think that he will look more like the normal Vizichachi is now. And then across the board, I think that Fnatic has better players. So the only lane that I would maybe have questions on would be top lane. Because I think that Reckless is just as good, if not a better, late game player as Kobe is, and that's really the only other super strong point that Splice has.
All right, that's fair. All right, so the next one is Origin versus G2. But before we go into predictions, I want to talk about these teams since we didn't talk about them last week. Going into playoffs, Origin looked like... Forget what Fnatic did last week, right? Erase it from your mind for a second. Origin looks like the strongest team coming into playoffs. I don't think that's completely inaccurate. I don't think that's even like a bold statement. I think it's just kind of true. This roster's been kind of on fire lately, and they play like a complete team. Nuke Duck's been...
Nuke Duck of summer last year?
I was going to say just not his normal, he's not Nuke Duck. He plays better than Nuke Duck usually does. I mean, last summer he had a brilliant summer. I think he had 18... Is it 18 different champions?
Every game was a unique champion, pretty much.
Yeah, he just never played the same damn champion. You couldn't draft against him, right? So, yeah. Of course, you could talk about... You could talk about him all you want. You could make the memes about him all you want. But Origin's, not the only thing to talk about. Patrick, the rookie, has been a very nice addition, actually, to the EU LCS 80 carry pool. I've been genuinely surprised by how well he's done. Mithy hasn't been glorious, but he certainly has had a comeback when you compare it to how poorly he did with TSM last split. And Cold has been a great aggressive jungler, and Alfari is never bad. I think...
Just real fast, Patrick isn't a rookie. He was Sheriff before.
Why did we never go over this?
I don't know, but I just looked it up real fast. He was Sheriff before, so... They found a bunch of people that have been in the league for at least a little while and pieced them together, so...
Sheriff is Pat?
No, Patrick is Sheriff.
Was Sheriff.
I can't believe that trash 80 carry became this man.
I just blew Sanders' mind, everybody.
For my sake. This man is a rookie.
This is a brand new person.
He's a brand new man. Oh my god. Holy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anyway. It's a solid roster. They've been playing like a team together. A very good team at that. So, now let's look at the opposite side of the pool here. You got G2. You got Wonder. You got Yankos. You got Caps. You got... Oh my god, I'm blanking on his name. Picturing him.
Perks,
thank you.
You're welcome.
How did I forget that?
I don't know.
I feel ashamed.
It's okay, Sanders. It happens to everybody. Do you think they're going to have Mickey X back? Or are they going to have to play with, is it Promiscu?
I don't actually know, and I wish we did. But we're
that is who replaced him, right? Promiscu?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
also wish we did.
I mean, I don't think it matters who the support is. Maybe it does. Okay,
Just with Perks being new to the role, I feel like whoever he's got more time with and more cohesion with, that it will make a big difference. Which is why I think that they were playing better with Mickey X. Not saying that Promiscu hasn't done okay in the games that he played, but G2 hasn't looked like, the dominant team that they were early in the split, so...
Alright, so looking at the roster, when you compare rosters, you're probably taking G2, based upon talent. However, this is so great. This is so great. I love this series. Based upon talent, I think G2 should take this, but I have the same complaint week 4? Week 4. I have the same complaint week 4 that I do now. And that's that I still have not seen G2 make a full, complete team win. It always feels like someone saves them. And we've seen for the last couple weeks now, when someone's not saving them, they're losing. I mean, occasionally, there's going to be times when your team's not doing well, and there's going to be a superstar that rises up, right? That's how super teams are supposed to work. That's not supposed to happen every game like it was happening for a while, though. I still have not seen a full team win from this team. I have no idea if they can win a best of 5 because they haven't shown me the team play to do it. Origin has. So I think when you look at this matchup, you have to think about talent, and I think that heavily weighs in favor of G2. Now, Origin is nothing to sniff at, but I think it heavily weighs in favor of G2. The second thing is team play. What teams are you looking at for that? I think that heavily weighs in the favor of Origin, and G2 hasn't had much of that. But then the third thing you gotta look at is, playoff experience. Who's got more of it? G2's got way more of that over Origin. It's a hard series, right? And
I think it is too, which is why I think it's awesome that we're going to get to see it this week. And don't forget that the loser of this game is not out of playoffs.
yes, they're not
They
out.
get to play again next week against the winner of Fnatic versus Splice. So that's, I think, the biggest reason why I like this new format in EU is because the top of the top gets to be there at the end. And we expect it to be G2 Origin and Fnatic with how we picked the last series. And I think that any combo that you throw together to play one another out of those three is going to be a good series to watch. So
Yeah. So like the way I've kind of
starts with this one.
The way I've kind of looked at this playoff seeding is it like Wayne kind of nailed it in our chat. It like really it rewards strong in regular season play. So if you're first seed, cool. If you're second seed, cool. You're kind of treated the same actually. If you get first or second seed, it doesn't really matter actually. I mean, there's things for like picking sides and whatnot, but like seeding wise, it doesn't really matter because either way you're both playing in this matchup, right? And if the second seed wins, they're on to finals. So it doesn't matter that you were second seed as long as you win. And if you're first seed, well, as long as you win again, doesn't matter. But if you lose between, the Clash of the Titans, you have a second chance to make finals. That's cool. For the third seed, it's all right, you get to pick your opponent. Maybe you can guarantee yourself a way to semis, And then if you're fourth, fifth, or sixth, well, then you're kind of SOL. You got a tough climb. So, but that sounds about right for fourth, fifth, sixth placement. So I don't think that's that bad, or it's that. It doesn't differ too much from how we have our seating.
Right.
So,
because before first and second got a bye anyway, so
yeah,
fourth or sixth had to play each other just like they did.
Yeah.
This way. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
just a little bit of a wrinkle.
Tanner, you haven't said anything. What do you think about these two teams?
Man, I mean, you guys covered it pretty well. I think overall, I like Origin as a squad, and I want to see them do really well. Part of me just thinks that, man, the skill level from G2 might actually be too much. We haven't seen playoff caps in a bit. That's kind of what I'm hanging my hat on for G2, is that we see a caps that is just returning to a dominant form that will, will probably end up carrying most of these games that they end up winning. The question is, does he carry enough games to win them a series? And that is debatable, but, I mean, it worked out for Fnatic in, last year, where Caps was just able to, hoist the team on the back with Reckless by his side. So, given that this is maybe not as big of an opponent as some of the opponents of Worlds, I think I'm giving the slight edge to G2, but it's going to be one of those things where I think Origin might be the team that deserves to move on, and yet for some reason G2 scraps out wins here and there and ends up beating them based on that skill. That's just kind of my feeling on it.
Gotcha. Okay, so with that, Celsius, yeah, you down there. You down there.
Do I get to do my pick?
You get to pick Origin versus G2 first.
Oh, I really want to... I'm really tempted to pick the upset and pick OG because of how well they've played the last half of the split, and how poorly G2 looked in the last half of the split. But my hesitation for just automatically picking G2 is that Nuke Duck, with his champion pool, has proven that he can play against the best mid laners. And so Caps doesn't give me as much confidence as he does in any other series. even though he is the top of the heap of mid laners, I think that depending on how Nuke Duck plays that day, I think he can actually, perform well enough to at least negate Caps as the carry. So if I look at other lanes, I think Wonder is probably a little bit better than Alfari. I think Yankos and Cold, to me, right now, are probably even, because Yankos has kind of fallen off from his... Like, he was playing really, really well when G2 was winning all the games, but I feel like he kind of fell back to earth when they were losing all their games and wasn't able to, be the Yankos that was, like, performing well game in and game out. Perks against Patrick. Perks is definitely more talented, but it's going to be his first time playing in the playoffs as an AD carry. And then we don't know who's playing support for G2 against Mithy, and Mithy has actually looked like Mithy again during the resurgence of Origin. So this is an extremely close series to me. And I am going to take my talents to South Beach. And I'm going to pick...
Can't run away from this.
I am going to pick G2 because of the experience that they have in the playoffs overall, over Origin. That's going to be the deciding factor for me. But I think that this is a close series, so this is, I think, the second series that I'm picking is a 3-2. Like, out of even the games this last weekend, I think I only picked one of those to be a 3-2. So, Tanner?
Yeah. I'm gonna pick. My gut is saying G2 3-2, and I think that's what I'll go with. And I think I kind of rationalized that when I was speaking a second ago, where I feel like Caps is going to hard carry at least 2 of these games, and the third one is going to be some clusterfuck that G2 should have no business winning but will. And it's going to be weird, because I feel like on paper, I think Origin's probably going to do everything they need to do in like most, if not all, of these games. And yet just the skill level and just presence of all of the guys on G2, I think just might be just enough to give them the edge. I'm not confident in this at all. Origin has looked fantastic, so I really kind of hope they win, because then, this whole like idea of, playing as a team and being stronger as a team should win you the games that you need to go. So I hope Origin wins. I just think G2 is going to win 3-2.
Nuke Duck is going to play Vayne.
That'd be cool. That'd be a throwback, and then throw it right back in Caps' face.
Well, didn't he do it actually against Caps?
Yeah, when Caps was like playing Galio or some shit.
Yeah, it was just easy picking.
He's like a counter. This was before Vayne was good. If anything,
no, after Caps did it against Misfits, I think that Nuke Duck did it against Caps.
Yeah, like I said, before Vayne was good, like she is now. Yeah. Where I think you're gonna put her in a top lane if you're gonna play her.
I know. It was more of just a meme that because it's happened a couple times. Both of these players have played Vayne mid.
That's fair.
But
okay,
Sanders?
So I'm going with 3-2 for the exact reasons Tanner said. He actually took everything that I said. So
I assume you're also going G2.
Yep. I think Origin has it in them to win this series. I think it's going to come in close, though. And I think it's cool to see the Titans clash. It'll be fun. So that's our playoffs for the EU. I don't want to say for the EU split, because they're not done after that. So I would like to say one last thing is this playoff matchup that we just predicted happens at 9 a.m. on Saturday. So I know I had said that Fnatic Spice was Friday at 10 a.m. Need to make sure throw Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific. It's different for every time zone.
That is true.
That is how time zones work. You are correct.
You know, I'm from Arizona. I don't give a shit about time zones. I don't know what time zones are.
In one. You're still in one.
I'm in one, but I'm in like one.
Technically, you're in two.
I'm in one half of the year, and then I'm in another the other half of the year. So like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm in mountains. Sometimes I'm in Pacific. I can't keep track. Right. All right, so let's go to our side of the pond. I'm not gonna lie. For as shit as NA's regular season play was, playoffs were hype.
Yeah, they were fun.
Oh yeah, they were so fun. So let's just jump into it. So the first one, I got this prediction. Perfect, boys. FlyQuest 3-2. They got the edge, my boys. Now let me tell you something. I was super.
We all had the series. We just didn't.
Yeah.
Tanner and I picked GGS.
Let me tell you something. I was super fucking nervous because I was pretty damn sure Golden Guardians was gonna win this shit when it was 2-1. When Golden Guardians was ahead 2-1, I was like, and they got it really ahead in game 4. I was like, fuck, they're gonna win 3-1. This ain't even close. And then FlyQuest made the comeback in game 4, which was hype as shit. And then they made the stomp in game 5, and I was like, yes! Not only did I get my pick right, but the team I've like secretly been rooting for, which is FlyQuest, is moving on.
It's not been a secret, Sanders.
Okay, no.
Yeah,
okay,
secret.
do I have a FlyQuest logo on my profile picture?
I mean, I don't have an XL logo. I don't have a, logo for all the other teams.
But I
don't even have a TSM logo, and that is the team that I
Tanner, but have I been
You made
biased?
it very clear you were a fan of FlyQuest.
Tanner, have I been biased towards FlyQuest like you were Excel? And have I talked about FlyQuest every week?
Bias?
No.
Say I was biased.
Sanders, you gotta get over that. You gotta get over that, friend.
Speaking of which, you can't talk about TSM this week.
Because guess what? I'm gonna talk about TSM this week.
Oh my god.
XL
Sorry,
was
Tanner,
like
go
my
ahead.
9-year-old child who was struggling in school. I just wanted him to do well, man. I didn't care. I didn't think they were actually going to make it to the tops. I was just like, oh man, I wish better for this person. And then, they ended up getting a little bit better. Nowhere near anything. I never thought they would make it to playoffs.
Funny.
But I mean, yeah, this was a series. I mean, like I was pretty excited going into Game 5 because I was like, you know what, this is fine. I want Golden Guardians to win the series. I thought they were going to win this series.
Well, I thought they were too.
Didn't.
They probably should have won the series.
I mean, they just I don't know what happened in Game 5. Like, I was kind of hoping for something a little bit more competitive than this, and like you said, it was just a stomp in Game 5. Every other game besides that was really competitive, back and forth. My voice is starting to go, so my apologies. But, all of these games were super, super competitive. And so going into Game 5, I was just like, yes, it'll be a nail-biter, close. And not even. Viper 4-2, Pobelter, 6-0. Christ, it pains me to say that. You want to talk about bias? I'm very biased against Pobelter.
So you think? So what happened was Doublelift was the carry, and Pobelter was just hidden behind it the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, Pobelter has games where he plays like an animal and just made me want to tear my hair out when he played for TL. And I was hoping that he'd have one of those games in Game 5, and he didn't. He played really well, which, props to him. I'm glad he
I
did
forget,
well.
who did he play in Game 5?
He played Zoe.
Because I remember in Game 4 he played Aurelia. I think that he is a very underrated, assassin-y type of player.
He got some good stuns in that game board.
That I think he was a big reason why they were able to pull out Game 4. Because of his play on Aurelia. And I'm sure that the fact that FlyQuest picked Aurelia again in Game 5 and then switched it over to Viper probably had a little bit to do with.
Jedi mind tricks.
Yeah, like I'm
Oh yeah,
guessing
that was really smart.
Yeah, like I love the meta right now. I don't know about you guys, but I really do. I like being able to see all of these champions get flexed in the draft and everything. I don't know. Like this entire series was really good. I thought through the first 3 games that Froggen playing on the like Froggen type champions like Karthus and Vel'Koz, that like if he continued to do that, the GGS had a really good shot, but he played Vel'Koz again in game 4, and I don't remember if he played it again in game 5,
He
but
played Lissandra in Game 5, and that's actually something I wanted to say that too. Is like
yeah, I don't like him on Lissandra.
In a game where it's so heavily dependent on you being comfortable, you want to try to just
He should have thrown out Anivia.
Yeah, like Anivia. Well, I mean, maybe not, but like, I mean, like, just one of those kind of control mages that he's so known for. It's just kind of weird that, I'm not sure if it was like a, coach's call. Obviously, it probably was, but I just did not think Lissandra was a good pick. I like the rest of their team, but like, and obviously Froggen didn't perform. He went 1-4, so that was something that I can kind of point to and just be like, that could have gone a lot better. I mean, this whole game could have gone a lot better for him because, like you said, this was the only one that just felt like a stomp.
The only other game that I really have notes on was game 2, and that's another game where Froggen played Lissandra. But Hanser played Yorick and did not play it well, in my opinion. He let the Maiden die, like, pretty quickly every single time that he summoned it, and so, if people aren't aware, you can actually go back to base with the Maiden, and the Maiden will heal up, and so like that's one of the reasons why Yorick right now is a really good pick and can be viable. But in this series, I don't think ever got out of a fight really with the Maiden still alive, and so he kind of defeated the entire purpose of Yorick. But like I said, I don't like the way that Froggen played either of the games on Lissandra. And then the only other call out is Viper in their wins played really well for a rookie. In the games that in the games where FlyQuest lost, he really looked kind of bad. But for somebody with such little experience, like I think he actually is a rookie, right?
He is.
For somebody with such little experience to be able to bounce back from a 2-1, to play really well in games 4 and 5, and be a good, like a big reason why your team is able to pull out those victories is really impressive.
I think the big thing for me for Viper here was, because I wanted to talk about Viper, but it was game 4. I think if not for some of his plays, I'm pretty sure FlyQuest loses game 4 and Golden Guardians takes the series 3-1.
He played Rise in that game, right?
Yeah, that was the game he played Rise. Yeah, if not,
he was on fire that game.
If not for that, there's no way. Absolutely,
there were a couple times where he got on the back line and deleted them, or at least kept them busy so the rest of his team could take care of the other players on GGS.
I think the big thing was them taking Infernal, and I'm sure there was probably a call. I don't know who it was. Maybe it was Viper or whoever. But literally, next thing you see is the Rise ult, and then suddenly FlyQuest is at Baron because they realized, fuck the Infernal.
They also had 2 Mountain Dragons.
Yeah. So
to take the Baron, so they took it super fucking fast.
Yeah, exactly. So I think whoever made that call, correct call, it's probably Wild Turtle. I know Wild Turtle's supposed to be the shot caller on the team.
It was a really good call. Real fast before you move on from that, if if you didn't catch it, it was kind of funny, but Pobelter missed the Rizal.
Yeah, I saw that.
But, like, he tried really hard to make it. He queued to a minion to try to, like, get into range of the Rizal. But he just missed it because he was a little too far away.
And then he was pretty much sacrificial bait at that point.
Did he die, though?
No, but I know 2 members died from Fight Quest in the ensuing fight. Only 3 got out. Which was enough. You only need 3, I guess.
Yep.
So, I mean, technically you only need 1, but that's not convenient if you want to push lanes. So, yeah, overall, I think I'm a little sad because Golden Guardians actually did really well in this series. They did a decent job over the split of the season in the second half. Pretty storied for not the players, the organization. I guess Contracts. Contracts is the one experienced the back-to-back 10th place. Because mostly it was like Matt.
Definitely was on there too for the back-to-back 10.
He was there for the second one, not the first one.
First one, I'm sure he was there for both.
The first one was Matt and whoever their stupid AD carry was for like a hot minute. I forget who it was though.
I swear it was Blake. I'll look it up.
I don't think it was definitely. It was someone else. I forget who though.
But I have a little thing open, so.
But it's a cool story for the organization to go from back to back, 10th place to playoffs. A bit of a shame they couldn't make it further. But honestly, I think whether FlyQuest or Golden Guardians won doesn't matter because I don't think they were going to beat their next opponent.
That's fair.
Because it was going to be TSM, Cloud9, or Team Liquid. Good luck. Any of those 3 teams, good luck. I don't think Golden Guardians or FlyQuest
looks like, yeah, I was wrong. You were right. Mickey. No.
That's the mid laner.
Okay, they don't. Yeah, it must have been definitely them because there is no other ADC, and he joined in 2017. So
I guess it was definitely, huh?
Yeah,
definitely in Contracts. Well, they know how much it hurts. So it feels good for them. Feels good for Froggen to finally make playoffs again. I think the only. I mean, obviously it's upsetting to not go further. You're never happy to not, win the whole thing. But I think the only person who's probably not happy here is probably Haunter. Haunter's used to a higher standard than this. So I think for the organization...
He said as much, too.
It's a good thing. I think for Contracts, it's a good thing. Froggen, it's definitely a good thing. Definitely, it's a good thing. For Ole, probably the same thing, too. You're used to a way higher standard, right? When you were on Immortals, you were high. When you were on Team Liquid, you were high. And now when you're on Golden Guardians, you don't make it out of quarterfinals. Same for Hunter. You were on TSM, you were usually high. Maybe not that one time. You were knocked out of quarter. You were knocked
both
out.
Splits.
Yeah, you were not. But with this split, he was knocked out of quarterfinals, not semis. Yeah, so I think Hunter and Ole have higher expectations for themselves. Overall, good split for the Guardians. They get knocked out. Moving on to the next playoff spot we had was TSM versus Echo Fox. Now, you need to watch Game 1.
I watched the highlights.
No. Oh my god.
Home.
This fucking guy right here didn't even watch Game 1 when he watched this series. So he had no idea.
Welcome.
He had no idea what the tone was.
When I started watching is when they started winning.
He had no idea what the tone was that was set for this series. Oh my god. So, Game 1, Echo Fox won that shit. And Echo Fox made it look like, oh shit, they're actually here for real. They beat Team Liquid, they beat Cloud9, now they beat TSM.
They not only beat TSM, they beat TSM when Bjergsen was playing Zillion, which prior to that game he had like a 75+% win rate on.
And they were doing the same things that they did to beat Cloud9 and Team Liquid. They were controlling the map well, they had a good draft, they were just playing as a team, right? Then Game 2 came around. And Team TSM wasn't... They weren't exactly there to fuck around. I honestly have to say, of this, like... Of all 4 games, none of them were close except for Game 4, in my opinion. Like, Game 1 was Echo Fox's to lose. Game 2 was TSM's to lose. Game 3, TSM's to lose. Game 4 was a bit of a fight. Now, TSM ended up winning, and the stats don't say it was a fight, but if you watch the game and you watch the tape, Game 4 was a fight. And I think that's because Fox recognized they were facing elimination. Overall, I want to get on to Game 4 real quickly. I don't necessarily want to talk about Echo Fox's win, mostly because, well, it doesn't matter that much. It was a 3-1. It set the tone for, hey, Echo Fox was here, we're going to do something. But in the end, it, like, wasn't enough. So, like...
He never delivered on that tone, too. It was just like...
So, I think Echo Fox made a mistake in the draft in Game 4. And that mistake, I think, was picking 4 carries. They picked... I guess I shouldn't say 4 carries. They had 3 carries, a tank, and an engage. Because Jarvan wasn't played as carry. He was played as a tank. Solo played Akali. Rush played Jarvan. Phoenix played Syndra. Apollo played Xayah. And Hakuo played Rakan. On the opposite side, you had Sven playing Lucian, Smoothie playing Alistar, Bjergsen playing Zoe, Acadian playing Rek'Sai, and Broken Blade playing his signature Hecarim top lane. Now, Bjergsen fucking went off, by the way.
Yeah.
In Game 4. He fucking went off.
I love watching Bjergsen when he played like he did in games 2 through 4.
But I don't like when Rush isn't playing more carry style. I don't like tank Jarvan, actually, in general. That's actually an issue I have, too. I just don't like tank Jarvan. Anytime I see an LCS team play tank Jarvan, I'm like, why? He's just not as useful as a tank. In my opinion, his build should be Warrior into Black Cleaver, into Deadman's, into whatever tank items you should want after. So he should be a bruiser. Now, he gets tanky, right? But he has enough relevant damage, and because you build Black Cleaver Armor Shred, that he's relevant later on, right? For me, personally, I like to do the Warrior, Black Cleaver, Deadman's into... I mean, you don't have to go Deadman's. It's actually my preference, I should say. Sometimes, if it's necessary, I won't do the Deadman's, and I'll do Stoneplate. And I think that's a great item for Jarvan. You go in, you dive in, you blow your cooldowns, and once you've dealt your damage, right, just immediately press Stoneplate. The damage dealt to you is reduced. You're officially a tank in that moment that you're stuck in the thing, and your team can take care of the rest. I think Stoneplate it's not a broken item, but it's an item that can make you as a bruiser suddenly a tank for 5 seconds. And that's just enough for Jarvan for him to get out. I wish more LCS teams would play him that way. I think I saw... I forget who it was. I want to say it was Acadian, or maybe it was Acadian. Maybe it was Brox. I don't remember who it was. But they played the Warrior into Black Cleaver, and then they did other tank items. But they did what I like to do. And I think he's just more relevant that way. So I don't like the way Rush built J4. Phoenix did not lane that lane well against him, and I'm kind of tired of the Xayah Rakan combo. I don't think Rakan's that great right now. And the only thing that's really good about Xayah is the safety she has. Now, when you look at Zoe, Rek'Sai, Hecarim, Alistar, I can see why you take the Xayah pick. But the Xayah pick can sometimes force the Rakan pick, which I don't like. I kind of wish you could he had taken Xayah. I think that might be okay, but Hakuo should have taken something else. That's my opinion. But I think Game 4, just Fox royally screwed up their draft.
I mean, I don't know. I thought the Kali pick was the best that Solo played, other than Game 1. I guess I don't necessarily have a problem with the Zaire Rakan pick. I didn't really think that they struggled too much in the bot lane, especially against Lucian and Alistar. Like, it looks like Echo Fox had, granted it was like 1,000 gold lead, but still they were actually slightly ahead through the first 14-15 minutes of the game. It wasn't until, I don't know, 25-ish minutes when TSM finally got a hold of the game, like, to where they ultimately took it to the win. But I get what you're saying about Rush on Jarvan. If I remember correctly, he played that in Game 3 as well. Game 2, it looks like, as well. All those games they ended up losing. All those games, Rush really didn't have good games. In Games 2 and 4, he had no kills and a combined 13 deaths. Granted, he did have, I don't know, 10 assists, but still, he died more times than he had assists in those 2 games. So Jarvan on Rush does not make a good combo, but for some reason they played it all 3 of the games that they lost.
I guess because Jarvan's meta, and Jarvan's really hard to not take if he's up.
Acadian was playing Rek'Sai really well, and they kept giving Acadian Rek'Sai too. So, like, on top of him playing a champion that he obviously is not great at, or at least wasn't performing well on that day, they also kept giving Acadian a champion that he was playing really well that day. On top of that, I think really the only thing other than I mentioned, I love watching, like, the reason why TSM is my team
Bjergsen!
Is because of Bjergsen. And when Bjergsen plays like he did this series is the reason why I like him so much. And watching him, like, just dominate these games was really fun to watch as a TSM fan, but I don't think that you have to be a TSM fan to appreciate what Bjergsen did this series either. On top of that, Broken Blade, it being his first split on, one of the biggest orgs in NA, like, continues to impress me. I thoroughly enjoyed watching him play Hecarim Game 3 against Aatrox. He used Hecarim's, like, speed up ability so well to maneuver around every single one of Aatrox's Qs. Just barely miss getting hit by any of them, and then punishing Solo extremely hard after he had expended all of his Qs. So that was really fun to watch. Overall, TSM, like, we all picked them for a reason. Echo Fox had the Cinderella story leading up to playoffs. They probably shouldn't have even made playoffs, but they played really, really well at the end of the split, so you can't take that away from them. In fact, it's something they should definitely hang their hat on. I think that they should be proud of how they played to get into the playoffs. And then taking the first game off of TSM is also something to be happy about. But TSM was the better team, and thankfully they showed it after Game 1, when you might have been a little scared that they weren't going to.
Yeah, I think, kind of just in sum, like, overall, I think TSM just outplayed them. However, when you go into Game 4, like you said, Sanders, I do agree that the draft was rough. Like you said, Celsius, it seemed like they were winning early, but I think this is a kind of team comp where everything separately might be fine until you have to put it all together in a team fight, and then things just start to kind of crack at the seams. You don't have the tankiness you need. You don't have, unless somebody's just hard carrying like mad, it's not going to pull through. But well played to TSM. They did really well. The only last thing I wanted to say was Jarvan, especially for Rush, is so legendarily like not good. Like the game that he fed himself to the bench on was on Jarvan as well. So, I mean, this is a champion that does not seem like it's in his. I mean, wheelhouse is one thing, but just
before you say that, J4 was the champion they beat Liquid in. Yep,
that's fair.
So
the blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while too.
That's true. I'm saying that might just be like a consistency on that Jarvan for him. Like, I mean, I know I play champions sometimes where like I'll lose 8 games in a row, and then on the 9th one I'll go 20-2 and just be like, hey guys, it's champions not too bad. Like, so I don't know if that's Rush's case, but at any rate, TSM was just the better team, and I don't think anybody expected Echo Fox to win, but I mean, like they didn't crap out. They showed up, so there's something to be said for that.
The last thing, I guess, to tie the bow on, the last thing I'll mention is that every single game, no matter who had the choice of what side they were going to play on, Echo Fox played on blue side and TSM played on red side. So even in the games where Echo Fox got a pick, they picked blue side and gave counter pick to TSM. I think every single one of, for sure the last 3 games, every single first pick that Echo Fox made was Jarvan, if I remember correctly.
Really?
And so there's another thing to kind of, I guess, think about with this series is I don't know if red side right now is like the preferred side for most teams, but if it is, Echo Fox did not take advantage of it and didn't get the counter pick for one of their solo laners. And then, in my opinion, kind of wasted their first pick priority on a champion that may be, one of the best in the role, but as we already stated, Rush doesn't play well. So
yeah, to get a glimpse of that, he went 1-17 overall on all Jarvan games throughout this entire series. So
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it was a soft spot.
All right, so after nailing Rush in the head.
Sorry, Rush, if you're listening.
Not his fault. He's a kind boy. It's not his.
I like Rush. I hope he has a bounce back split next summer. So.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. An LCS with Rush in it is a better LCS overall.
Hopefully, that's only if MVP Rush is there. Remember. So.
Yeah, but even like as a personality.
So. Anyway. Our next 2 playoff matches are TSM C9 and Team Liquid FlyQuest. By the way, Team Liquid's a bunch of pussies. There was a meme going on that the owner Steve said they were going to pick TSM.
It's not a meme. He apparently tweeted it.
Yeah. It's a meme, right? And and Azael retweeted it immediately and said, "This is legally binding." Right? And then they picked FlyQuest. And then Azael was like, "You sit on a throne of lies." It was so funny. So our matchup on Sunday at 12 p.m. is Team Liquid versus FlyQuest. But first, our more hype matchup, in my opinion, is Saturday at 2 p.m. after the Origin G2. Oh man, we get Origin G2 then TSM Cloud9. Yes! That's so good. Oh my, I'm sure my neighbors down on floor 1 are not happy. Anyway, that's hype. Oh, it's so hype. All right, so TSM looked pretty good, right? Cloud9 looked pretty good coming in. They got their 7-man roster. TSM's the wrath has been swift. Acadian did not lie.
Yep.
They said their wrath would be swift, and their wrath has been very swift.
Is it confirmed that C9 is actually going to be using a 7-man roster?
I mean, it's Reapered.
I know, they've kind of talked about it, but like...
I mean,
I guess I kind of expected to see it a little bit before...
I mean, we only saw it once.
Playoffs?
We only saw it once. And we only saw Golden Glue slipped in. We didn't even see Blabber slipped in. So, it's Reapered. Golden Glue has even said on the dive that, like, he never has a clue until Reapered says a couple days before you're doing this.
Right.
So, obviously, every single player on Cloud9 respects Reapered's decisions, and it's not a, hey, how do you feel about this, or hey, how do you feel about this? It's a, no, you're doing this weekend. Right? So, Reapered, again, playing 4D chess while everyone else is playing 3D checkers. We'll see how well that works out for Cloud9 if they do it. I certainly think it's an advantage, and I think it's one that's probably going to be used, especially when you're against Bjergsen. I think it's impossible to actually not say, hey, we need to play some different people against Bjergsen. Now, to Bjergsen, that shouldn't matter, right? In his opinion, he's going to say, I'm going to beat whoever's in front of me. But certainly throwing different playstyles at Bjergsen is going to throw a player for a loop, even if they have the mentality, it doesn't matter, I'm going to beat them. It's just how sports works. If you throw different things at different people, you're going to catch someone off guard at some point. Same thing could happen in the jungle. For Acadian, one thing he's playing against Svenskeren, and the next he's playing against Blabber. Blabber's way more aggressive. We talk about Svenskeren going into the enemy jungle. Blabber just loves to go in. Doesn't matter what's going on.
In, period.
Exactly. You watch Blabber and you're like, whoa, buddy, what are you doing? I'm sure he catches his team off guard sometimes. So, I think that's a good punch to do. I certainly don't think you should sub, Licorice out ever. And there's certainly not going to be something out Sneaky or Zazal, I don't think so. I think the mid lane and the jungler are the only ones to consider. And that's not because Niski and Svenskeren are bad at all. It's just that Blabber and Golden Glue have shown that they can do well substituting for those
they
players.
bring a little bit different of a style, like you mentioned.
Yeah, so that's what's going in favor for Cloud9. As for Bjergsen, TSM, I think.
What's the difference?
I think what's going in their favor actually is that they have a jungler who can carry. For me, the big rise of TSM hasn't been necessarily Broken Blade, although he's been a really cool addition to the team. It hasn't been Bjergsen's rise back to the top. And it hasn't been Sven's back to being relevant again with Smoothie. To me, it's been that they finally have a jungler again who can do it all. Like, Amazing was amazing. I don't know how else to put it for TSM. And then he started to become a ward, and then that's when it went downhill. And then he went to Origin, became a carry again. Wow, they made it to fucking semifinals. They got crushed by a Korean team, but they made it to semifinals at Worlds. It's because Amazing was allowed to do what Amazing does. I certainly hope they don't do to Acadian what they did to Amazing. Because Acadian, what he's doing right now is perfect. Like, let Acadian do his thing. He's clearly taking great care of the jungle. He's playing carry champions like Rek'Sai. He's great. He can play tanks too. We've seen it before. But if he doesn't have to, don't make him, right? Don't make him a ward. Make him carry. And the big thing too is that it's not even an issue of like splitting gold with like your carry like Bjergsen, right? Because whoever gets the gold, they can carry the game. You don't have to force feed Bjergsen. And I think that's also a big part too, is that TSM is coming to realize you don't need to force feed Bjergsen if someone else can do it. So
the other thing on top of that too is there's a lot more gold on this map than there was on
maps.
with
Yeah, there
turrets and everything.
with
Which
plating and whatnot.
I'm going to make a point right here that I've been thinking about that's a little off topic, but because I mentioned the turret gold and stuff, one thing that I think NA has over EU right now is NA is so much better about getting turret plating than EU is. Overall, there were so many turret plates taken over the NA series compared to the EU series. And I really enjoy that because that just means that there's a lot of pressure and a lot of aggression being had early in NA that sets it, in my opinion, sets it apart from EU, at least in these playoff series that we've watched the last weekend. And I hope it continues.
Yeah, that's fair.
I didn't know if you had more to say
I
about
was going to finish my last thought on TSM.
Go for it.
So despite the fact that I think the jungler is a huge reason TSM is doing a lot better, I think a large part of this is just because I've been waiting so long for TSM to finally have a jungler. Smoothie should not be underestimated or under talked about here. Smoothie is someone who I haven't talked about probably all split, even though I've always been on the Smoothie hype train ever since Cloud9. I don't know why he didn't have a starting spot for a while. That was stupid. I think he directly showed why he's always deserved a starting spot. And that's because he shot calls well. And he's a good support. And I think, the whole thing about Mithy leaving Sven was completely over talked about. Whenever a famous duo leaves each other, it's usually heartbreaking and it's usually hard. But in the end, someone, they usually can do good without each other, right? A big example of this was Double Lift and Afromu. I mean, 6A came in, 6A and Afromu, they won NA and then they went to MSI, right? Double Lift, what'd he do?
He's gone on to win the last, 4 plus.
Well, after Afromu won that one NA split, Double Lift won the rest of them. He's won every single thing after. So, and Afromu's been in contention at times, right? So it's not like players who separate can't do well. I'm looking at he's got, the number 2 seed in EU right now. And here we have Sven, who has the number 3 seed in NA, and he's in semifinals right now. So I think it was massively over talked about, and I think not need to be worried about because you had a solid backup in Smoothie. And I think it speaks volumes that Sven has improved so much with Smoothie there. I think that's what happens when you have a support who makes plays. Not that Mithy can't make plays. I think Mithy's just more of a shot caller and an intelligent player. And
he's kind of like a high.
Yeah, and Smoothie's a playmaker, right? So, and that's just the difference. Now, there's 2 different types of supports. You got your playmaker and your shot caller, right? And it's okay that Mithy is a shot caller. As long as your team can play around that, that's good. I think for so long, with Double Lift and Biofrost, and even before that, Wild Turtle and God, what was his name? I'm trying to think of who his support was.
Wild Turtle, on TSM?
Mm-hmm.
No, not X Special.
That's who I was thinking of.
Is it?
Yeah, it's what I was thinking of.
Okay. I was like, that's a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
I was going to say Lust Boy next.
Lust Boy too. Those were all playmaking supports, right? And then suddenly you throw this so much playmaking support into the atmosphere, and it's like, wait, that's a totally different style that TSM's not used to, and it just didn't work out. So, yeah, I think having a support who's going to make plays for you brought a huge boost to TSM as well.
I'm really glad you brought up Smoothie because I was going to mention him when I was talking about their last series, but I'd kind of gone on about the series long enough that I decided not to. But I did want to like shout him out in that series, and like you said, he's been playing really, really well for TSM. All split, but definitely during all of their winning that they've been doing here in the second half.
Well, Tanner, what do you got on these two teams?
Yeah, so I mean, you guys covered it well. I just personally am more of a. I mean, I don't know. When I look at both of these teams, I like what TSM has done and the way they've kind of clawed back. But for some reason, just this, my head cannot stray away from the proven potential of and power of Cloud9's roster, especially with their coach. I mean, you know, we've seen a very good and consistent C9 for the majority of this season, even though they faltered to Echo Fox. But then again, who hasn't faltered to Echo Fox? You're not a real NA team if you haven't faltered to Echo Fox. But you know, it's going to be a really good series. I like you said earlier, Celsius Beerson's been playing out of his mind recently. TSM, you could kind of almost say they're playing like a cohesive unit. You know, similarly to how we were saying about Origin and teams like that. So I would definitely, man, it's really hard to say. I see these teams on pretty even footing, and I think we're gonna have to look at some very minor, like differences to kind of see if somebody can scrape out an advantage here or there. But yeah, two really good teams.
I agree. Should we get into the pick?
All right, cool. Tanner, you got the first pick for this one.
Yeah. Man, this is tough. So getting into those small differences, I just think that if you look to places like the bottom lane and the top lane, like you said, those are the guys that are going to stay there regardless of whatever Reaper has got going on in his mind. And I think for most people, you would expect to see some performance out of those lanes for Cloud9. I think Sneaky has had a really great season, and Licorice, like you said, has only been getting better and better. So I'm going to give the slight edge to Cloud9. I'm going to pick him 3-2. Man, it feels so weird just saying 3-2, but TSM's been playing so well that I don't see him not taking at least a couple. So 3-2, Cloud9 on a very close series, closer than, you know, like a lot of our other 3-2s from the past.
Sanders.
All right. So I definitely don't have my mind made up on this. I like TSM more than I like Cloud9. That's for sure.
That's interesting. I thought that like this was C9 for you because C9 has TSM's number.
No, I definitely like TSM more. I like TSM more because they've been playing, I think, better than Cloud9. And they've been playing, I think, better League of Legends than Cloud9 has been. What I really can't get past and why I'm still picking C9 anyway, which is probably what you were thinking, 3-2 as well, is I can't get past Reaper. I never can get past him sometimes in a playoff format. The guy just is way too smart for his own good. Way too often have I seen Reaper take Cloud9 where Cloud9 should never go. I definitely think he's a guy who lifts up a roster that's not as good as it is. So, I mean, coaching is part of a roster, so maybe it is as good as it is because coaching is part of a roster. But like when you think about a roster, you don't think about the coaching, you think about the 5 players and the execution, right? Now you can have like the best plan in the world against CSM, and if your players don't execute, well, your best plan in the world didn't matter, right? But these are players who can execute. So I'm still taking. I don't think it's a 7-man roster. I think it's a 6-man roster. I think
There's no way we see Blabber.
I don't think we're gonna see Blabber. We might. No way. I don't think we're going to see Blabber, though. I think we'll see Golden Glue a couple games, though. And we've seen Golden Glue take on Bjergsen, and it wasn't like a terrible result, right? So, C9 3-2. I really hope TSM wins this, though, honestly. because I think they are the better team, and I honestly think they're the only team who can beat Team Liquid or give Team Liquid a good matchup, a tough matchup. Because if Cloud9 goes to finals, I'm picking Team Liquid automatically. I won't even give Cloud9 a thought.
That's fair. So, when it comes to the pick score, I'm already out of this. So I'm gonna give you what I think, and then I'm going to pick the opposite. I think that C9 is going to win the series. I think that they have had TSM's number throughout the regular split. They are one of the only teams to beat TSM since TSM has started their winning streak. I think that across the board, C9 matches up very well against TSM. I think that Licorice outshines Broken Blade, even if it is only by a little. I think in that matchup, Licorice has Broken Blade's number. I think that the junglers, I could say, are probably fairly even. I think that Niski, even though Bjergsen's been playing very well, I don't think that Niski is afraid of him, and I think that Niski showed in their last matchup that he can play against Bjergsen pretty well. Been singing the praises of Sneaky like all split, even though I do think that he has slid a little bit, and Sven has been playing very well, so I might just say that it's a wash between those two players. And as much as I like Smoothie, I think that there is a reason why C9 went with Zazal, and he has actually really impressed me when you get like a little bit of a listen in on the game with his comms. I think that he's just as good at shot calling and can be just as big of a presence and a factor in a game as Smoothie can. So with all of that, I think that C9 has the edge. They, as I said, have beaten TSM already twice this split. And because of that, I think C9 is going to win. Now, like I said, for my actual pick, I'm picking TSM. I'm picking TSM partially as a TSM fan. I'm picking TSM because that's what I'd like to see. I'm partially picking it because I've been wrong a lot, so I need to go against what I think.
That's fair.
But I'm still picking it as a 3-2, and God, I hope that it's a 5-game series, because that's what everybody who's watching it deserves.
Yeah, it should be fun.
This should be a really fun series to watch, and I hope that we get 5 games of it.
Saturday should be hype as hell. Saturdays just in general. If it's not, I'll be so upset.
A lot of good league.
Yes, well, lots of good league. Okay, so next one isn't so hype, but I think there's an underlying story to it. It's Team Liquid versus FlyQuest. Now, FlyQuest is one of the few teams who beat Liquid this offseason, right? So I don't think this is just a straight up Team Liquid is beating this Team 3-0 type of deal. I certainly don't think FlyQuest has a chance to win this series at all. FlyQuest has got some things to throw at them. Certainly, FlyQuest has, I think, the ability to drag out games at times. That's what they did a lot this season, and they can usually find ways to win games when they drag them out. If Team Liquid doesn't full on just put their foot on the gas and never let up, I think they might struggle a bit. I think for sure that Viper is going to get his ass handed to him by Impact. I don't think everywhere else on the map, though, it's going to be so easy. You got Pobelter versus Jensen. It's a good matchup. I don't even think Jensen's been that great this split, which is a weird thing to say. You got Smithy versus Santorin, which is a cool matchup. I think Smithy wins that, but it's still a cool matchup. And then you got Double Lift and Core JJ, who, by the way, Core JJ is my MVP vote. I hope he gets it.
Oh, for sure.
Versus Wild Turtle and Big. And while the advantage goes to Team Liquid, I don't think Wild and Turtle, not Big, JJ, my bad. I don't think Wild Turtle and JJ are anything to sniff at either. So I certainly think this is a series that is going to be entertaining. I think it's going to have some wild stuff in it for sure.
Yeah, Wild Turtle.
I just don't think it's going to last that long, and it's just going to be a 4-game series where Team Liquid wins it 3-1. I didn't mean to throw out my prediction there, but I guess that's kind of where it went.
I'm going to go ahead and just throw that in.
Yeah, you could just throw that in there.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
But that's honestly like how I see this series working. Team Liquid put up a tough first game against them in the season where Team Liquid won that game, and then FlyQuest managed to beat them. So this is a team that can give Team Liquid troubles. It's just not a team that I think is going to beat them 3 times. Once. I'll give them once. I just don't think, How I don't even know how you compare this. Like, how do you compare this? I don't know, like...
I don't think you have to. You just explained it. That's
I don't know, like the Dodgers playing the Rockies. In a best of 5, I'm taking the Dodgers 3-1, probably. I mean, the Rockies are good enough to take a game off of them.
Yeah, no. I think that's, I mean, no real comparison needed. It's just like, FlyQuest is just not at TL's level, I don't think. And while they can probably scrap a win, the cocky TL fan in me wants to say 3-0. But, yeah, fuck it. I bought a jersey today. Yeah.
Wait, you bought another jersey?
Oh, they dropped an amazing April Fool's line today. It was amazing.
What was it?
It's like it's like this really cool camo baseball jersey that they've got now. That's not the point. The point is,
so you got 2 Team Liquid jerseys. 2.
Well, technically I have 3 because TL accidentally shipped me 2 of the same jersey for that original purchase. So
that's pretty cool.
Don't tell them though.
All right.
It's my secret. Anyway, though, FlyQuest, I begrudgingly they've looked really good this year.
Mr. Ninth place over here.
Yeah, I know. I was sleeping on it pretty hard. And to be fair, I think that's just because I wasn't fully thrilled by seeing Wild Turtle and Pobelter. Like, something in my head was just not clicking when seeing that. But, I mean, this is not the same Wild Turtle that we've been seeing in the past. And this is not, the Pobelter that I've become, accustomed to as well. They're both playing really well, out of their minds, but Teal's just better. They've got more teamwork. They've got the better cohesion. Double Lift is just like Double Lift and Core JJ are just so good. Like it's almost unfair. And I think FlyQuest will give them trouble. And it depends on what kind of TL we see coming out of this playoffs. Because, again, this is a TL where we watch them go into the biggest playoffs in the world and just shit the bed. So, it depends on which one we get. Do we get, regular season playoff TL or do we get Worlds TL? I think we're going to get regular season playoffs TL. And it's just hard for me to justify any reason why. It's kind of almost like I'm kind of relating this to like the Fnatic Splice game a little bit, where I picked 3-0, but is like as close as a 3-0 can get because there's just not a lot of ways that I can think of TL losing games. I think they're just the better team, and I'm not picking a 3-0 just because, I mean, obviously the meme, but I just don't see TL really having as much of an issue.
So I thought it was funny. Pobelter actually tweeted out saying that Team Liquid were pussies for picking them over TSM, but that's okay because we'll beat them anyway and put them in and make them be 4th place again. I thought that was kind of funny.
It is funny.
Just wanted to mention that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I fully agree with you guys on Team Liquid's like coming in and definitely going to win this. Like, they looked very shaky at the end of the split. I think that we discussed why we thought that was the case, with them being locked in for playoffs and not needing to win every game, so potentially trying some stuff out. And I think that's fair. However, Sanders, I don't agree with you on the fact that Impact is going to stomp Viper, because I think Impact has looked absolutely awful this split, and Viper has actually looked pretty damn good for a rookie. And Viper plays aggressive, like bruiser champions, and Impact has really only shown lately that the only thing he's good at is tanks. So in those matchups, I give Viper the edge. Xmithie has been a cornerstone of the top jungler in NA for a very long time.
Ever.
He had games that looked like he was Rush at the end of the split. And it was really kind of boggling to see him play so poorly. I don't care if you're trying something new or not. He looked awful.
Hey man, he was going for that Infinity Edge Rek'Sai.
He might as well have been with some of those games. But Santorin, the only non-TSM Team Liquid or C9 member to make one of the top 3 all-NA teams, he made the Team 3, or all-NA Team 3 for the jungler. And I think that he actually has been playing very well, and that it's possible that if Xmithie looks like he did at the end of the split, Santorin is the better jungler in this series. I don't expect Xmithie to look like he did at the end of the split, or at least I hope he doesn't, because that would be very sad to see him fall off the cliff so hard. Jensen and Pobelter, I think Jensen has the advantage, but I don't think that Pobelter should be overlooked, and I think that he's constantly been overlooked. But I don't think that the gap is quite as big as many people think between these two players. Especially Pobelter on certain champions.
I'm actually picking Pobelter to win that matchup, by the way. I don't like the way Jensen's played lately.
Fair. Especially Pobelter on certain champions, like I was saying with his Aurelia play. If he plays Aurelia a couple games, he can easily come out ahead and potentially carry FlyQuest to a couple wins. The big difference is, as much as I love Wild Turtle, Double Lift and Core JJ should absolutely dominate the bottom lane.
Mm-hmm.
And Double Lift has proven that he can carry the teams he's on to victory. So I still think that Team Liquid wins this series. I think they do it on the back of Double Lift and Core JJ. I think that Xmithie will also have to play a little bit more like Xmithie has played over the last couple years, rather than over just the second half of the split. Because of that, I do think it's going to be somewhat of a close series, and I'm actually going to pick a 3-2.
Ooh.
Which means that if I'm right, we're in for a long weekend of League.
That's true.
I don't mind that, actually.
You see, I guess the rough part about this whole TL thing is just we don't have a quarterfinals for TL to see if they're in playoff form or not. I'm coming into these and making these predictions assuming that we're going to see playoff form Team Liquid, but we could very well see end of season Team Liquid, which would be heartbreaking. But it's rough to make these calls, because it's just with Fnatic, we saw them roll, in their series, and they look like the dominant team. But for a team like Team Liquid, we just don't know yet. So
real fast, I want to throw this out there. What would you guys be thinking right now if NA had switched to the EU playoff format?
So if it was Team Liquid and Cloud9, I wouldn't even give Cloud9 a thought. Like I said, I picked Team Liquid.
Would you be fucking hyped? I think that would be.
Oh yeah.
awesome.
So what we'd have?
I'm still hyped because we've got TSM versus
So we'd
Cloud9.
have TSM FlyQuest and then Team Liquid
TL
Cloud9. Well, I think the Team Liquid Cloud9 matchup would suck, but I still think TSM FlyQuest would be hype. I'd still probably pick the 3-1, regardless on that one. Maybe a 3-2. I doubt it. It's a possibility, like in my head, but I doubt it. I'd still stick with the 3-1. I think it'd actually be worse. I think it'd actually be worse. Because I think Team Liquid would destroy Cloud9.
Right, and I think that's why you think that it's worse, but I think, like, for most people seeing TSM or TL Cloud9, they would just see the two, what would have been probably the two best teams throughout the entire split playing each other this weekend. And so therefore they would be thinking it's a closer series than I think you're thinking it's going to be or would be. Mm-hmm. And for that, I think that most people would probably be pretty hyped to see that. But either way, with it the way that it is, or if they would have switched, as we said, TSM versus Cloud9 is hype for what we have now. And like TSM, FlyQuest, and TL Cloud9, if they would have switched it, would have also been hype. So I think that kind of I just wanted to pose the question to you guys, see what you guys thought.
You know what I would like to say about Doublelift, though? Despite the fact he loves to trash talk, I'm amazed at how humble he is in his streams, because I do like to watch his streams. Not his, like, videos, his actual streams. He's, like, one of the few people who I watch actually stream. Most streamers I watch, it's usually, like, their videos or VODs. I'm always amazed by whenever, like, someone asks, how do you think this AD carry is doing in NA? I've noticed whenever it's, like, a Korean, like, Arrow or Bang, he's always like, they're not as good as everyone says. But whenever, like, someone asks about Wild Turtle or Sneaky or something like that, he's always like, Sneaky's actually really hard to lane against. He's like, even though I stomp him every time, he's actually really hard for me to beat at first. He's like, once I have an advantage, or he's like, once any pro player has an advantage, it's easy to beat your opponent. He's like, but it's hard to get that advantage against Sneaky at first, even though it might look easy to the crowd. And then he said the same thing for Wild Turtle. He's like, Wild Turtle's always been a top 4 AD carry. I don't know why anyone's ever shit-talked him. He's always been a top 4 AD carry and always been a quality opponent. So I think a partial reason for why we give Doublelift so much credit is because I think he knows who's his opponents are, and he actually respects the fact that they can beat him. Like, he knows
right.
that...
Well, and that comes with the longevity of how long he's played against those players that you mentioned. Like, they've all been in the league for a very long time, so they each know each other's idiosyncrasies and all that stuff, so...
But after a while, like, some, like, dominant players... their ego gets the best of them, right? And they just think, I'm the best, I'm going to kill everyone, right? But Doublelift is kind of person where, like, on the outside, he'll be like, everyone else is trash. But
you mean like Forgiven?
Well, Forgiven. I mean, Forgiven's a beast. I hope he comes back into the LEC. I can't wait.
Yes, I miss Forgiven so much.
Dude,
he's that type of player where he...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
he's more of like an honest person. Forgiven's, I'm just going to tell you how it is. Like, you're good or you're bad, right? You know, Doublelift does it for the fun, but I like that, like, underneath, like, and when he's being real and not on stage, Doublelift recognizes what his opponents bring to the table and how they can beat him. So, I think that's probably why he still remains, like, the best NA player in NA. Because the best player in NA right now is probably Cord JJ. But, like, the best NA player in NA.
Thankfully for him,
that's his partner. So,
yeah.
I think that's why Doublelift has been able to remain that way for so long. One last thing on Forgiven, Tanner. His free agency starts in 2 days.
Oh, really?
Yep. April 3rd is when he becomes a free agent.
Excellent.
So we'll see who he signs with. Probably not on April 3rd. But we will get to see.
Who knows? Maybe somebody's chomping at the bit, you know?
Dude,
Vitality.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be hype.
That's a great idea. Anyway.
Oh, that would be really
don't wet my whistle yet, dude. Take me on a date first. Anyway. Anyway, that's it from the playoffs for us. We got Team Liquid beating FlyQuest, and we got... Okay, all three of us technically have C9 beating TSM, and then over at the pond, I think we all agreed on G2, right?
Fnatic and G2.
Fnatic and
yeah.
G2, okay. So that's what we got going on for our predictions. So do we got anything else?
No, I mean, I guess one last thing, just in general, technical thing, is like you said earlier, we are going to try to shift to the YouTube videos. If anybody's watching the video right now, I've been watching occasionally. It's very rough. There's a lot of malfunctions here and there, so we appreciate your patience. Like I said on the video, pardon the dust. It's going to be a little shaky getting it up and running all the way, but I think today was a good first step. This honestly doesn't look too bad. I might just make some minor changes, but hopefully you guys like this format, and hopefully we can do more with it in the future.
All right, so you will be able to find us on YouTube/6Dorans. I think I'm gonna pay for one more month for us to finalize settling away from podcast mode and give you guys that time to adjust. You can find us at 6Dorans on Twitter. 6Dorans is our Discord channel. Find me at JCSandersTVS. Find Tanner on twitch.tv/Bitsorama. Is there anything else, boys?
Come hit us up in Discord, too.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, from Mr. Jamie Celsius Christensen, and then right below him, Tanner Bitsorama. I am Jacob Spencer Sanders, and we will see you all